Welcome back to the Eldritch Stronghold. I'm Mitchell, or Guru New, and in this episode of Deck Sesh, we're talking about Hurska Sweet-Tooth. This is another commander from the Jumpstart Foundation set. He is a 3/3 bear for 2 colors and a green. Whenever he attacks, you create a food token, and whenever you gain life, you may pay a green or a white, and when you do, target creature gets +X until the end of the turn, where X is the amount of life you gained. In this deck, I think I really want to focus more on gaining big chunks of life rather than just small chunks of life, but small chunks of life are definitely alright. And at face value, this card is pretty much your food tokens. You can pay 3 for, tap, gain 3, and then buff a creature by 3. But we definitely intend on doing way more with this effect. We'll jump right into the categories. First set of cards I'm going to be talking about are life gain cards. So the first one is Tristani, Selesnia's Voice. For 2 green and 2 white, you get a 2/5 Dryad. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life due to that creature's toughness, and you can pay 1 color, so green or white, tap it into Populate. Populate's not going to matter too much in this deck, but definitely whenever a creature enters and you gain the life, pay an extra 1 with your commander, and you're pumping whatever creature you want by whatever life you gain. Next card is Predator's Report. It's 2 colors and a green for an instant. You choose target creature you control. You gain life equal to that creature's power plus its toughness. This is a huge life gain. Do it on the turn after, on the creature you pumped before, even bigger. This card's insane in this deck. Next card is Rock's Faithmender. It's a 1/5 Rhino Monk. It has lifelink, and whenever you gain life, you gain twice that much life instead. Just doubling up the life, making the effect even more powerful than it already is. Next card is Disciple of Freyles. 3 colors and 3 green for a 3/3 elf druid, but when it enters the battlefield, you can sacrifice another creature. And if you do, you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is that creature's power. This can gain a bunch of life and also draw you a bunch of cards, refill that hand. The next card is a Johnny's Mentor of Heroes. 3 colors, a green and a white for 4 loyalty planeswalker. All the effects are pretty good, +1/+1 counters. Look at the top cards, but the bottom effect, gain 100 life. You gain 100 life and you pay 1 green. You're pumping whatever you want plus 100. I think that's pretty silly. And that will wrap it up for these. Now, for anybody who has played Selesnya before, there's not a lot of variety in the flavor of type of decks we can make. So the next few cards we're going to be talking about are cards that give +1/+1 counters out. It's pretty good in this strategy. +1/+1 counters making your creature bigger, as well as your commander's pump ability. So the first card we'll talk about is Cleric Class. This card is great in all 3 modes. For 1 white, if you would gain life, you gain that much life +1 instead. For level 2, whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. And then +3, whenever this becomes level 3, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and you gain life equal to its toughness. So all 3 effects are great in helping what your commander already does. The next card is Letherial, the Bounteous Dawn. 2 colors, green and a white. 2/2 Unicorn, lifelink. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, distribute up to that many +1/+1 counter among any number of other target creatures. Per unique effect, at the end of the turn, you gain a crap ton of life the whole turn. You're going to make your team even bigger. Next card is a new one from Foundations, and that's Quilled Great Worm. 4 colors and 2 green for a 7/7 worm with trample. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage during your turn, you put that many +1/+1 counters on it. And you may cast this card from your graveyard by removing counters from among creatures you control in addition to playing its other cost. It's recurable. It's a big trampling creatures. It makes other things bigger. You probably want to pump this with your commander's effect. Next card is Heliod's Sun Crown. 2 colors and a white for a 5/5 indestructible god. As long as your devotion is less than 5, he isn't a creature. But whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control. And then you can also pay 1 and a white, and another target creature you control gains lifelink. Actually, just any creature can gain lifelink to the end of the turn. Last card, Nykthos Paragon. 4 colors and 2 white for a 4/6 human soldier. Whenever you gain life, you put that many +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Do this only once each turn. It's only a once per turn effect, but it's still pretty good for what it does. And that'll wrap it up for the +1/+1 counter cards. Next bunch of cards I want to jump into are targets for the pumps. These are just cards that I really like for targets for the pump effects. Blossoming Bog Beast is a 4 colors and a green for a 3/3 beast, and whenever he attacks, you gain 2 life. Then creatures you control gain trample and get +X until then turn where X is the amount of life you gain. He's already going to pump himself from his effect, but I still feel like pumping him, swinging him, and giving all your field tramples just makes him an excellent target for this effect. Next card is Wild Beastmaster, 2 colors and a green for a 1/1 human shaman. Whenever he attacks, each other creature you control gets +X until the end of the turn, where X is the Wild Beastmaster's power. She's pretty good. You pump her +20/+20. She's going to make all your other creatures +20/+20. Excellent card. Next card is Sovereign Okanek Au. 2 colors, a green and a white for 3/4 cat noble. Has ward 2. Whenever he attacks, for each creature you control with power greater than that creature's base power, you put a number of +1/+1 counters on that creature equal to the difference. It's a way to keep the boost around after the end of the turn by making them into counters. Next card is one of my favorite, and it's Evra. For 4 colors and 2 white, you get a 4/4 avatar with lifelink. You pay 4 to exchange your life total with Evra's power. You pump it up. I mean, this card just explains itself, but it's pretty cool. You can do some pretty cool things with it in this deck. The last card we'll be talking about in this is the Feasting Hobbit for 1 colorless and a green for 2/2 halfling citizen. Has Devour food 3. When it comes in, you can eat that food and it gets 3 times that many +1/+1 counters on it. But the real effect we like is creatures with power less than Feasting Hobbits power can't block it. That's pretty good. It's probably gonna hit for a lot. Moving to the next couple cards is Life Triggers. There's a lot of overlapping effects in this deck, but these ones I separated for they're a little bit more. The ones that do have +1/+1 counters, a little bit more selfish with their counters, but they have additional effects that do benefit the deck a lot. First one is Alindra's Hierophant, 2 colors and white for a 1/1 vampire cleric. She has flying, and whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on her. And then whenever it dies, you create a number of vampires with lifelink, where X is their power. Getting a bunch of 1/1 lifelinkers, pretty good in a lifelink deck. Next card is Koala, Ajali's Pride Mate. 3 colors and a white for a 3/3 cat warrior. Whenever Koala attacks, other attacking creatures you control get +X until the turn where X is the number of counters on Koala. And Koala gets counters whenever you gain life. You put a +1/+1 counter on her, and then you can also pay 4 to gain life. So if you have no other way to gain life, you can just toss 4 mana in this to gain at least 1 life. Next card is Exemplar of Light, 2 colors and 2 white for a 3/3 angel. Has flying, and whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. But whenever you put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on this creature, you draw a card. It only triggers once each turn, but it can trigger it on your opponent's turn. And it's whenever a +1/+1 counter is put on her, not just from her own effect. Next card is Well of Lost Dreams for 4 colors. You get an artifact that whenever you gain life, you may pay X, where X is less than or equal to the number of life you gained. And if you do, you draw that many cards. Pretty standard and pretty good in a life gain deck. Last card is Gorman's Talent for 1 green. You get an enchantment class, and during your turn, artifacts you control are foods, and so pretty much all your artifacts you have are food. That might come in handy, but probably not. But the next couple effects will be handy. Whenever you gain life for the first time each turn, you make a 3/3 raccoon creature token. Making more tokens so you can pump them is always good. And the last is whenever you gain life for the first time each turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So just pump in your already big army you have. And for the last set of cards, I thought it'd be good to play with the food aspect. So I threw a couple in there. And the first one we'll talk about is Treebeard. 2 colors, a green and a white for a 0/5 tree folk with trample and ward 2. Whenever he enters the battlefield, you create 2 food tokens. Food tokens good, they gain you life. Whenever you gain life, you put that many +1/+1 counters on the halfling, on a target halfling or tree folk. I'm sorry. So this card's pretty good. Plays along with all the aspects of the deck. Next card is the Apothecary White. It is from the Clue set, if you did not know. 3 colorless and a white. Vigilance 3/4. Whenever you attack, you create a food token for each player being attacked. If you got 3 creatures attacking 3 opponents, you're gonna get 3 treasures. If your commander attacks, it's an additional food. You can pay 1 white and tap X untap food you control to create X 1/1 white human creature tokens. All the food, if you don't crack it to gain the life, you can use this card to make them into tokens. Or not make them into tokens, but use them to make tokens. Next card is Samwise Gamgee, 1 green and a white. For halfling peasant, whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you create a food token. This will trigger quite often. There's a lot of creatures in the deck. And then you can sacrifice 3 food to Eternal Witness, a historic card back from your graveyard, which will come in handy sometimes in this deck. Next card is Sam, Loyal Attendant, 1 colorless, a green and a white for a 2/4 halfling peasant. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, you create a food. So every turn you're going to get a food, and then activate ability food you control costs 1 less. So it's going to make your food crack for 1, which is pretty handy. So for just 2, you can crack a food and also activate your commander's ability. Last card is Tireless Provisioner, 2 colors and a green for 3/2. It has landfall. Whenever that land enters the battlefield, you can create a food or a treasure. So if you need a treasure, not the food, hey, there you go. And that will wrap it up for the cards for this deck. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you want. Share the video with your friends if they plan on building this deck. Let me know down below how you thought about the deck, or if you're going to use any of the cards that I suggested in the video. And I'll see you guys next time. See ya.